when God is unfair. You have people asking the question, why me, Lord? Why did this happen? Why did you allow this? Or how? Yes, God will be unfair. Okay? But let me explain why God is unfair. First, let's go to the Israelites when they left Egypt. I'm not speaking about the time of Moses. I'm speaking when they took over the promised land, Canaan. He had 13 tribes, but the Levites were not permitted to have their own heritage. Judah, because it was the biggest tribe, received the most land. The tribe of Dan received 2 plots of land, but the Levites, no. Now the Levites may have thought, this is unfair, Lord. They get a plot of land, they get a heritage, and we, what do we get? Yes, we are summoned to carry the tabernacle, the ark of the covenant. What's that? But it was unfair. It was so unfair that when the Israelites had genocidal rage towards themselves, they had a civil war, they almost annihilated the tribe of Benjamin. It were the Levites that were used to later restore order. They became the guardians of that community. When it came to international relations, when sending diplomats to other nations, it were the Levites. The Levites became the priest class. They also became the intelligence service of the community. And because they didn't have their own heritage, their own plot of land, they were not involved in rivalries. They had land, they had houses, but they depended upon the tithes of the other 12 tribes. So it was unfair so that the nation of Israel would remain in function till the day Christ came. That was the function of the Levites. All right? Then let's continue further. I'm going to use, let me use the example of Job. People often ask, why did God allow Satan to harass Job like that? I mean, Job didn't do anything. So people are losing it when you begin to talk about Job. Okay, let me tell you how unfair the Lord was towards Job. Job was in agreement with the Christ that would come. Very important. He was in agreement with Christ, but Christ wasn't revealed yet. He was in agreement with the Christ that had to come, with the Messiah that would come in the future. Job was anointed, therefore the works of his hands were blessed. Hold on, let me hold this correctly. Okay. That was Job. And Job was fruitful. He had 10 children, 7 sons, 3 daughters. And he was the richest man in the East. And the East, that's where most of the human population lived at that time. Let me say it better, he was the richest man on earth at the time. And you can read the Job chapter 1 to figure, and you can imagine for yourself how wealthy he was, because he gave a description of it. And I've made a small YouTube series called The Sufferings of Job. So you can check it for yourself, all right? So I'm not going to repeat that over here. But there's one thing about Job, when you read the first chapter, and that this circumstance was very disturbing. Because you need to understand this. This is the world where we're living in. And Satan is called the God of this world, right? That means that in this world, you cannot become rich without having the enemy trying to invest in you or get some share in what you're doing. That's not possible. Other people read the book of Job and they think, oh, this man had it all. They go into they are projecting as if Job, they are, how do I say it? They idealize the situation of Job. But if you look very carefully, you can see that the children of Job did not follow Christ. They did not follow the ways of the Lord. They were in wickedness. That's why Job always brought sacrifices in order to purge, in the aim to purge his children. Now Job didn't know any better. That was all he knew, so he was doing that. But that intoxicated Job. So without Job being aware of it, he was led into a fearful state of being. And that was the advantage Satan had upon him through Job's children. All right? So the community around also benefited from collateral blessings due to Job being anointed. But what did they do with it? They exploited it. So, so the Lord was so fair, and I'm saying so unfair, that the Lord withdrew the collateral blessings from the environment, and the enemy could have his way with those that remained in darkness. And you know what? In one day, the enemy took all of Job's possessions away. He killed almost all the employees and all the slaves that Job had. And Satan even generated fire in the sky and let it fall down, and people thought it was the Lord punishing Job. And those children that were the devil's agents, maybe without them being aware of it, anyway they were the devil's agents, they got the big prize. He killed them all with a natural disaster. And the whole community turned against Job. The true colors of the people became visible. So what happened? Job was delivered. The Lord did it in a very uncomfortable way. Also, the true colors of those friends of Job became visible, because those friends were telling Job, well, things are happening bad to you because you did wrong. One of the friends of Job, if you read carefully, even said that he even admitted that he conjured up a demon, or that he received wisdom from demons, and based on that wisdom, he can judge that Job was wrong. So they were in agreement with demons. He even admitted it, and he kept on pressuring that wisdom of demons, which is really the wisdom of the world, upon Job, at Job's expense. They were friends of Job. And the Lord did not give Job an immediate answer, but the Lord delivered Job from being self-occupied. Because that is the big temptation, that you become self-occupied by relying on your own strength. That's why your riches can be dangerous. Because whether you're born again or not, we have the tendency to hold on to what we consider our own strength. So the Lord delivered Job from that, and everything worked out well for Job. All right, that's how unfair the Lord was towards him. Okay, now I'm going to give a modern example. Just something I've made up, but just for you. It's a common thing. You have this woman, Susie. She wants to marry Jacob. And because Jacob, he's a deacon at church. He's single. He has a job. The job pays well. He's into business. So Susie's thinking, oh, that's my man. I want to marry him. So Susan began to pray. She wanted to marry, and she even befriended this Jacob, and everything went well. But then the engagement broke, because there was this other woman, Camille, that came by, and she took Jacob's heart. And here's the thing, they married in secret, while Susie was still thinking she was engaged with that guy. So one day she arrives at church and she finds out that Jacob is married to a woman called Camille. And Camille had what they would consider the good figure. She wore makeup, she had a lovely voice, and everything went well for her. She was popular, she was loved, and Susie was thinking, why, Lord? Why didn't you give me a better body? Why didn't you give me better opportunities? Now I was about to become happy, and now this is happening. I've been praying, I've been fasting, I've been keeping your commandments, Lord. So she became depressed. She even became suicidal, because this was the third relationship she attempted. And she was thinking that it was useless to serve the Lord. She was breaking down. What she didn't know was that the Lord was so unfair that the Lord did not reveal unto her yet that Jacob had a Python spirit with him. If you know what Python spirits are, browse through my videos. I've explained it once. If needed, I'll explain it again. Jacob had a Python spirit with him, and that evil spirit manifested um, a distraction for him. And the distraction that the demon caused was his success in business. But Susie, or let me say Suzanne, they knew that. And it was that same Python spirit that operated with other evil spirits to attract that Camille. That Camille was emotionally harmed by her parents. Her father was a wimp, was what they would say a wimp in the world. That father did not stand up for his family. That father was only interested in hanging out with the boys. He was a mess, and Camille grew up in such a toxic environment. She was not delivered. She considered herself a believer, a Christian, but she was into tarot cards and all that other crap behind the scenes. So there was this match that was being made in the paranormal between Camille and Jacob. But here's the thing. It would have been Suzanne who had the Holy Spirit that wanted to have Jacob, right? Because she was deceived. If she would have got involved with that Jacob, that Python spirit would have destroyed both Jacob and her. That's what Python spirits do. They have other names for such spirits, but I'm using the label Python spirit here. So Susie was praying and praying, and her prayers guarded her against destruction. But she didn't realize this. She saw that man Jacob as a vindication of her faith. That was also a wrong thinking pattern she still had. She thought if I marry, I will upgrade and graduate spiritually. She still had some pagan, she had pagan way of thinking in her mind that she didn't lose yet. So she was both delivered from Jacob and from those thinking patterns. That's how unfair the Lord was towards her. Unfair. Why? It's unfair from our point of view based on our way of thinking. And our way of thinking that is generated in us based upon our experiences or based upon what the world has taught us is seldom right. So yes, the Most High will be unfair towards you. He'll be unfair towards you to preserve you for something much better and much greater. He will preserve you and guard you against you. Not because you are wrong, not because you have ill intentions, not because you're messed up in your mind. No, he will guard you against you. Why? Because often the way you see yourself, to you, isn't really who you are. It's who people programmed you to think you are. So yes, he will be unfair towards you, but his unfairness is fair and it is just for you. So just trust him, okay? That being said, I have to go now. Be at peace.